All right, how's everybody doing? This is JD Temple, and joining me this evening is my good friend JS Garrett. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I wanted to get on here with you, and we're going to talk about some really exciting and interesting things that are be coming up. You are going to have a very, very powerful ritual service that you're going to be offering in the Become a Living God catalog here very soon.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. We're going to be rolling it out here in the next month or so. The ritual is called the Rite of Deification. It was published in Anthology 3 that came out a few months ago. And I just wanted to jump on here and talk with you because you and I have agreed to perform this ritual for each other. And we've done that. And I wanted to get on here and talk about our results and experiences, both being the operator and the recipient. So I guess I really like to hear, first of all, what was your experience being the recipient of this ritual? What was it like for you, and what has changed since having this ritual done?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is that it restored a tremendous amount of magical abilities that I had seemingly lost for quite a while. There were things that I used to be able to do that, for whatever reason, it was a struggle to do them anymore, and they really didn't seem like these were things that I could actually get results from. The certain techniques and certain kind of inherent abilities that were within me for certain things. I'm not going to go into detail on that on this podcast, but they were things that were very important to me that I was quite depressed once I realized that I could not do this anymore. And I really didn't know what to do in order to reawaken this within myself. But being the recipient of this ritual certainly did that in a big, big way. I was just elated when because it was one of those things where these particular things that I'm talking about, these were things that I could feel inside of me, kind of like living and breathing inside of me. And when I could feel this, I would just know that I could do X, Y, and Z. And when I got that feeling back, I was like, oh shit, it's back. And so I was like, okay, well, the only thing that I can do is to test it out and see if I'm accurate here. And without a doubt, I had regained those abilities. And that for me was just like, that was the best thing that happened to me in years and years and years and years. Maybe one of the biggest things that's happened to me in my life to this point. I remember waking up the next day because I did pass out pretty hard that night. And it kind of seems to me it's like this ritual does that. If you're the recipient and you know that this is going to be performed for you, I did like you instructed, and I was preparing to lay down and at least meditate or try to go to sleep. But I remember laying down and I was just out. And when I woke up the next morning, I literally felt like a Superman. I just had this huge surge of energy, to where I felt like I could just go out and run 10 miles if I wanted to, or if I wanted to, climb up the side of a freaking face of a rock cliff with no equipment, that I could do it. It was incredible. And that influx of that tremendous amount of energy that lasted for until the next time we did the ritual. I mean, for like a couple of months at least. It was it's something that's very hard to explain, because it's like a renewal of sorts, but it's a renewal that is something that I have never been able to receive, and never be able to come to the realization that it was as potent as this was. I mean, it was just so profound that I really can't really put words into it. I mean, there's nothing that I can do to really describe this feeling. It's just it's an elation. It's a huge empowerment. Um, it really brings your magic to life, and it brings that magic to life inside of you in a very tangible way that you can feel without a doubt. I mean, there's no question in my mind that I had really received a huge benefit, and it wasn't something that I was just imagining in my mind, and it wasn't something either where I had to sit there and really think about it and like look for it. I need to be like, am I really feeling this, or am I imagining that? I mean, this was so profound and in your face that there was no denying that it was something that was very, very real. And the benefits from it, I mean, they're really just too many to list. I mean, it was physical, mental, emotional, magical. I mean, you name it. It just, on every category across the board, it was just off the charts for me.
Wow. Well, that's pretty awesome feedback there, brother. And yeah, I had very similar experiences with being the recipient of this ritual as well. It's I call it the rite of deification, because what you're doing is you're evoking the spirit of a living person out of their body, and then making a blood sacrifice to them as if they were a god. So I mean, it's quite literally deifying that person and their spirit. And I feel like it awakens something within you. It awakens the godhood within us. And whenever you did this ritual for me, I was extremely excited, because I'd done it for several people, but I never got to experience being on the receiving end of this. So, you told me what time you were going to perform the ritual. So I go and lay down in bed, because that's what I tell people to do. For some reason, it's so much easier to evoke someone if they're asleep. And so I'm laying there and I'm like all excited. I'm like shaking, I'm like, yeah, I'm finally going to get to, experience this. I'm like, shit, I'm not even tired, And that was the last thing I remember thinking. And next thing I know, I wake up and it's like 3:30 in the morning. And I get out of bed to go to the bathroom, and I'm like stumbling around, like I was totally off balance, feeling like I was floating around the room. I'm like, oh shit, fuck this. I'm laying back down, I couldn't even walk straight. And so I lay down with the intention of going back to sleep, but I was not able to do that. It's like I laid there for about 30 minutes, and I started feeling this vibration in my chest. And that vibration got more and more intense and started to go throughout my body and all my extremities. And then I became extremely restless. Like I could not lay still. I was laying there squirming around like it was a full moon or something. And got to the point where I was like, okay, I've got to get up and move around. I was like, I don't even know, man. It was like a drug, man. And so I ended up going and running a bath because I do a lot of water meditation and whatnot. And I just sat there in the tub and just continued to feel this influx of energy just gradually absorbing into my physical body. And since then, I've had like so much more energy than I normally have. All my aches and pains are gone, man. Like I normally live off of Motrin. I've got a couple of service injuries in my back that cause me a great deal of discomfort on a daily basis. And since having this done, those aches and pains are gone. Like my body feels like it's 19 again. And so that's some really awesome physical benefits from something like this. That, you know, I think when people hear about this, they think, nah, man, that's not possible. You know, that sounds too good to be true. But it's really not. I mean, it is so profound and real that it really just blows your freaking mind. And I was wondering if you had noticed any physical changes. Like, you talked about having more energy, but do you feel like an increase in vitality? Have your hair and fingernails started to grow in thicker or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's, I mean, I noticed that my nails for sure, without a doubt, and my libido just through the roof, and and with that, my performance is way better than it used to be. I mean, it is. I do feel like I'm 18 or 19 years old again. I mean, that's really the best way that I could put it. As you know, as far as from a physical standpoint, um, you know, being, what am I, 37 now? Yeah, 37. So, you know, going back to that level of physical ability and just, you know, having that overall feeling of that youthfulness and that vitality is just, it's amazing. I noticed that my skin got a lot better. I mean, I had some issues with, you know, like some dry skin and things like that. Like, I would kind of get it around here and around this area. And, you know, all that is pretty much gone now. And I hadn't done anything different than having this ritual performed for me. So I definitely attribute all of that to this, because all of that took place within a week or so following that. I noticed all of those improvements. Some of them even sooner than that. I mean, a lot of it was immediate, but like you know, with my skin and my nails, you know, that was like a few weeks, I think, that, you know, I began to notice that, and I was like, holy shit. Like, I mean, it really is like, a fountain of youth in a lot of ways. Just some of the things that I'm able to do now that I wasn't really able to do before, or not to the level that I was able to do them before, and that, you know, that I can do them now with ease, is just so incredible to me. It really blows my mind. It really does. I mean, and I'm sure there are other things that I haven't maybe paid much attention to that have benefited from this, that I just haven't really, you know, become cognizant of yet. Because there's all kinds of other things that I have noticed, just things that that I'm able to do that might be things that I don't do that often, so that, you know, when it does, you know, the opportunity presents itself and I do these things, it's just all so much easier. My mind and the clarity in my mind, the sharpness and just, I had kind of developed this cloud in my mind. As you know, with age, it kind of seems like that happens to you. Your mind starts to become clouded, and your senses are dulled to a degree. And this seems like it just awakens all of that, and then it actually awakens it even to an even higher degree than you ever had it before. So it's like it pushes everything above whatever glass ceiling you had in place before. It just explodes out of that. And it does take a little while to get used to these things, because it's like you become ultra sensitive. You know, even like my psychic abilities and everything of that nature, all of that has greatly improved. And with that, I mean, it's, you know, with my business, I've got two businesses, but with my spiritual services, all of that stuff started just picking up like crazy too. So it's like, to me, it was like I started putting out this vibe to other people that I was not putting out prior to this. So it's not something that I think that I am the only one that would notice these changes that are happening within me, but other people to some degree on some kind of level, whether it's a conscious thing or not, they are and have taken notice of it. And it's kind of like, has attracted them to me, as part of the results of the benefit that I've gotten from this ritual. And that has been incredible. That's everything I could ever want right there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I've noticed that too. I've noticed a difference in the way people respond to me, since having this ritual done. It's like it expands your aura. It's like because that's what you're doing, when this ritual is performed for you, is you're absorbing the life force as well as the spirit of the animal that is being sacrificed to you. And so it really seems to enhance your vibration. And that's something that people notice. I mean, even on a subconscious level. So that's been really profound, that I've noticed the difference in the way people respond to me. It's almost like they're drawn to me. Strangers are a lot more, a lot quicker to come up and approach me and talk to me. Used to be, a pretty girl might, wink at me every so often. That didn't happen very often. And since then I've noticed that I've got a lot more attention from females as well. So that's a really cool benefit from it. Another thing I've noticed is that, a lot of the rituals I do are very, very physically exhausting. Some of them take me, up to a week to recover from after performing it. And since this, I've done several of those rituals, and it was like I had a whole nother well of energy to pull from that I didn't have before. And doing these rituals has not tired me out at all. Like it's like it was like magical steroids, It's like my performance, not only physically but magically, has gone to the next level, a level that I don't think I could have achieved otherwise. Another thing is, and this is kind of personal, but my whole life I've always felt like I was jonesing for something, and I couldn't figure out what it was, like this physical craving, and I never could put my finger on it, and I never could satisfy it. And it was something that just kind of underlying drove me insane every day. And since you did this ritual for me, that feeling is gone. I feel like it satisfied a hunger within me that was always there that I could never satisfy before. And so that's been pretty interesting as well. I'm not really sure what the explanation for that is, but it's definitely quite a benefit. Have you noticed anything like that?
Oh yeah, all the above, man. I mean, the benefits that I have received from both receiving, being on the receiving end of this ritual, and the benefits from performing the ritual. I mean, both of them combined, it's just unreal. I mean, there's really, it is the wildest thing that I have ever experienced. And I mean, this ritual is definitely hands down my favorite ritual to perform. I mean, I get excited just thinking about it. I mean, I remember the first night that I read your article, and I realized the point that you were getting across and what this could do for you. And I saw it for what it was, and I was like, holy shit, like I want to do this like right now. Like I was so excited the night that I read that, because I was reading it before I went to bed. I hardly slept that night, because I was just like, this is the shit. Like this ritual right here is just going to blow the roof off of everything. So even with the hype and the high expectations that I had, it delivered on all of those and then some. I mean, it exceeded, by far exceeded my expectations, really in every category you can imagine. And you get so immersed into this ritual, when you perform it, it's like I almost really don't even remember doing it. Like the later that night or the next day, it's like I have this chunk in time that I'm missing. But if I really sit and think about it, I can go back to that time that I was performing that ritual, and I can remember how just deeply immersed that I was in it, and that I really feel like I became someone else when I was performing it. It was just a very primal, very ancient spirit that I had become. And it was like I knew exactly what to do, even having never performed it before. I felt like I knew exactly what I needed to do, when I needed to do it. It's something that kind of takes over, and you kind of go on autopilot. Like, that's kind of how I felt. I was on autopilot, and I was just kind of taken back in time, really. I definitely felt like I was surrounded by like a tribe of some sort. I guess it was a tribe of spirits, and I guess they were the spirits that came with you when I evoked your spirit from your body. And right there in front of the flames and the triangle, you definitely were there very quickly, and I could feel that you were there. But I mean, I really felt like it was it just had a very tribal feel to it for me. I mean, I was envisioning that I was like this Aborigines looking character, and I was him. I was in his body, and I was seeing through his eyes. It was the wildest thing ever, and I had so much fun doing it. That I love everything about it. And I really thought that I was going to have a hard time sacrificing anything, because I barely even kill bugs and things like that, like mosquitoes and flies and ticks. And I think that's really like it for me. Everything else lives and gets a chance at least. So I really I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this or not. I'm really have a hard time doing it. And I had no problem at all. And the more and more I have done this ritual, it's like I start to kind of get I thirst for it. It's like, what takes place when you sacrifice that animal and that life force energy that's released. Like you said, you get so high from it. I think, as we were talking about earlier and before, in another session, we were talking about this, that I think the operator definitely does get some of the benefit from this sacrifice in a very similar manner as the recipient.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what I've experienced as well. For me, when I perform this ritual, like, it's more intense than doing a regular, evocation. Because, I mean, I think a big part of why that is because we're not trying to communicate with a being on another dimension. We're not trying to, tear a hole through the curtains between dimensions and communicate through that hole. No, you're here on this physical plane with me, and I know without a doubt that you exist. And all I have to do is call you forth. And I've noticed with evoking people, whenever they show up, it is undeniable that you have a presence there. Like, whenever I called you, like, you not only did you show up like super fast, like I didn't even finish the conjuration, and then the wind picked up and the fire started roaring, and it had a little bit of a blue tint to the fire as well, which was pretty profound, pretty cool. But it's like you came with an entire legion of spirits, and it was like standing in the middle of an astral tornado within the circle while I was performing this rite for you. And I could literally feel like things brushing past me. And I thought that was, just fucking awesome, dude. And I get, like you, I get so caught up in it that afterwards it seems like it's a dream. It really does. And, the first time I performed this ritual, I didn't write anything down. I didn't have a script or a conjuration, anything like that. All I had was the idea of what I was going to do. And then it was like, as soon as I started, as soon as I lit the fire and lit the candles, it was like another force, like something took over me and carried out the ritual. And it was like I was just in the back seat watching everything. And I do notice an effect, like I normally, before I perform this ritual, I'll spend, all afternoon setting up for it. And then about 2 hours before I'm going to perform it, it's like my body just involuntarily starts to shut down. Like I feel my body just going to sleep. And so I have to go lay down. And it's like I never lose consciousness. I never actually go to sleep. I just lay really still and my body is in this state of sleep. And then all of a sudden, like I'll wake up and it's just boom, it's go time. And I'm in a totally different frame of mind. It's just absolute confidence and just complete like focus and drive to perform this. And sacrificing something is what I think most people will have a hard time with, or at least that's what I anticipate they'll think they'll have the hardest time with. But once you get immersed in the ritual and you get caught up in it, that's really not an issue at all. It actually comes very second nature, even if you've never done it before. And, like always, the sacrifice is treated with the highest, utmost respect. And I often will spend time with the sacrifice beforehand to form that bond between, the animal and the sorcerer. And that does make it a little bit more difficult to perform the sacrifice, but it's not supposed to be easy. I mean, it's called sacrifice for a reason. And to me, it's like the ultimate experience. You do feel like you go back in time, and it feels very, very ancient and very tribal what you're doing. And I do notice that I absorb a little bit of the energy myself in the circle when the sacrifice is made. I mean, whenever a creature dies, it's like an explosion of life force energy is released. And when you have a person's spirit or, any spirit present in the triangle, when this happens, they are able to absorb that life force energy and take sustenance from that. Like you literally absorb the spirit of this animal into your own spirit, along with all of the energy and life force that comes from that creature, and then carry it back to your body, and it literally becomes a part of you. And yeah, for me, this is just the most insane thing ever, man. Like it's like surreal, it's so tangible that you almost can't believe it, even after you've experienced it. And yeah, that's awesome, dude. It's totally awesome in my book.
I agree. Like surreal is definitely the word that I would use. I mean, it's like it's made almost every aspect of my life surreal since then. Like I've noticed like the past 3 months or so that, maybe even 4 months now, that like that time has gone by so quick that it's almost like I went to sleep the night that you performed this for me, and that I woke up this morning, and those 4 months went by, but I don't even, it wasn't like, it wasn't like normal life difficulties and things you have to deal with and this bullshit and that bullshit. It's just like none of that stuff really affects me like that anymore. It's just kind of like I'm just zooming through life just at an even keel and just happy as I can be, to where it's like, damn, like there's really not many struggles really. Like I'm just kind of like breezing through, it's kind of like, it's almost like it like has like this effect that where it's like removes gravity from, like you're not even subject to the laws of gravity anymore. You're just kind of floating along like effortlessly. It's just been wild, I mean, it's really too much to even to try to process, really. I mean, and truly, when I sit and think about it, it's just so overwhelming that, just trying to piece it all together, I'd really have to just really sit down for like an entire Saturday and jot down every single thought that comes to my mind and try to go back and remember everything that's happened and then put it together in an outline that would make sense. I mean, because it's so much different information and so much different sensations and just things that I had not experienced in my life in so long, and things that I have never experienced in my life, as a result of this ritual here. This is something that I think for some people, it will be a little difficult for them to perform, only from a standpoint of it's going to depend on where they live, what they have access to. So being able to have you provide services like this for them so that they can actually receive the benefit from this ritual is going to be vital importance for a lot of people, because they're just not going to really be able to do it. If they really don't have a place where they could make a bonfire and have privacy. If they live in a city area or something, they probably wouldn't have access to areas like that, let alone access to be able to acquire the livestock that would be needed for the sacrifice.
Right.
I live, I live on the probably 15 minutes away from the city, but it gets to be somewhat rural out where I'm at, if I drive like another 15 minutes. So, people have chickens and things like that. And even with that being said, it's not the easiest thing for me in the world to be able to find them every time that I go to do this. So there's all of those elements that play into it. For some people, it's just going to be hard for them to do. So the fact that they can call somebody like you up, or, go on the Come Living God website and go in the catalog and, hire you for your services to perform this for them. That's just incredible.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. I always recommend people do their own rituals, and I definitely want to see other people performing this and experimenting and seeing exactly how far they can push the limits. But there is a lot that goes into it. It's a messy ritual. It's not something you can do in your living room. So you have to have a secluded outdoor space, and you got to have privacy, because if the old lady next door walks out and sees you performing this in your apartment complex, they're not going to know how to handle that. You're probably going to end up with the cops being called to your house. So for people that live in the city, absolutely, that's why I want to offer this as a service, because it's something that I want everyone who wants to experience this to have the opportunity to experience it. And so yeah, that's something that I'm really excited about, and I look forward to doing for people, especially other practitioners. It seems that practitioners are the ones who notice the benefits the most, because we're always paying attention to what's going on energetically, and we're very in tune with our own physical bodies and the changes that are taking place on a daily basis, whereas most people are not. Most people are fairly closed off to their spirituality, and they're not very sensitive to changes in atmosphere or the energy, So I did perform this ritual for a guy. He was just a regular dude. He was a heroin addict, and we thought that he volunteered for it, and I thought that this may help him a little bit with his addiction, which it did. It actually made a significant difference. The guy's been clean ever since I did this. But I noticed that, whenever I got feedback from him, it wasn't as elaborate as getting feedback from other practitioners. It's like, I talked to the guy's brother. They're both standing there when I'm talking to him. I'm like, well, have you noticed a difference in like your energy levels? He's like, oh, well, I think so. And his brother just looks at him. And he's like, dude, you've been going 90 miles an hour since he performed this ritual. You haven't even really been sleeping very much. So I think the fact that, he was, a heroin addict and numb to a lot of things energetically, he didn't notice it as much, but he still got the benefits. And the benefits were so noticeable that, other people around him noticed the difference in it. But the one thing that he did, say that he didn't have the urge to do heroin after having this done. So it's like maybe the euphoric aspect, the euphoria of having this done, is a good substitute for drug addiction as well. So that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. But yeah, the feedback I get from other practitioners is usually much more profound than your everyday person experiencing this. So yeah, I mean, have you noticed any negative side effects, any negative aspects to this ritual at all?
Not at all. I mean, not on either side of it. Either being the recipient and being the operator. Nothing negative whatsoever. I mean, it's all been just it's been like the biggest gift that I could have ever received, really. Because I kind of felt like not only had I plateaued in a lot of ways, but I had also backpedaled a lot. And for whatever reason, I was not able to regain what I once had. And as much as I had put into trying to regain these things, these abilities and things that I could do at one point in time, I couldn't find a solution for it. And, it was quite depressing, really. And with this, I mean, it was just kind of like, I didn't even have to think about it. I mean, it all came back to me. Everything came back to me. And it was just kind of like everything had finally become full circle, just things that I would have had to put a lot of thought into or made a lot of preparation for to try and attempt to do. I don't have to do that anymore. I feel it. I feel it around me. I feel it within me. And I just know that I can do these things without a question in my mind. And I am able to do it. But I haven't had anything negative that I can even think of at all, except for maybe wanting to do this ritual all the damn time and not really being able to,
It's a bit addictive.
It is. But I mean, I think, like being able to help somebody that has a drug addiction, especially when you're talking about opiates, which is, I mean, that's one of the most powerful addictions, one of the toughest addictions to get over. And I know, from personal experience in regards to opiates, I mean, that is tough, man. I mean, it really is tough. I mean, it's an emotional thing. It's a mental thing. It's a very physical thing. And you really feel like there's just no way that you can get out of that cycle. That it's just something that you're going to have to learn to deal with and live with. And, even when you get to the point to where you don't want to do it anymore, your body tells you otherwise. And, it's like, you better keep doing it or you're going to be you're going to be really, really bad off for a long time. And, like I can just, imagine what a weight that was lifted off of that gentleman's shoulders, that you were able to provide that for him. I mean, that's just incredible. I mean, there's really not many things that I know of on this earth that could deliver some results like that. I mean, there's some pretty controversial and somewhat dangerous, drugs that you can obtain illegally, if you can even get them, from Africa and things like that, like, iboga and things like that. But I mean, I don't even know if you could get that, or you can pay like $10,000 and go to Mexico and they can administer something like that medically to you. But, again, I mean, that's 10 grand. I mean, that's kind of crazy, but it would have been worth it to me back in the day, but I would have much rather, have had to be able to run across someone like you to be able to help me out with that and not have to go through all of that crazy, crazy expense and whatever else would have been involved with it, whether it's travel or trying to, smuggle in some illegal substance in the United States, that kind of thing. So, this is so much more accessible for people. And it's something to where it's going to benefit them in so many more ways other than just that. If they're going into it just wanting that one, just to provide that relief from their drug addiction, I mean, they're going to get 10 or 12 or 20 other benefits from it that they didn't even expect, so it's kind of like just added bonuses everywhere that are all wrapped up into this one ritual. I mean, it's really, like I said before, it's just too many things to even list.
Oh, that's awesome, man. And it's designed to enhance people on every level, physically, psychologically, spiritually. It seems to have all those benefits. I've noticed with sleep, at the end of the day, I'll be mentally exhausted. I'll want to go to sleep, but my body is not tired at all. And so, I mean, I'll lay down and go to sleep. And, when I used to wake up in the mornings, I'd be really physically groggy. Like, it would take me, a couple of hours to really wake up and be awake and have energy. Whereas now, like, I don't feel that at all. It's like my body is wide awake the second that my feet hit the floor. And whereas before I would drink 2 cups of coffee before I left the house, I would stop and get a Red Bull on the way to work. I'd go get a Red Bull on my lunch break and probably another one on my way home, whereas now I have 1 cup of coffee and I'm like, oh, I can't handle anymore, So it's definitely helped me. Like, I feel a lot healthier since having this done. I have less aches and pains. I have more energy, and life has just been so much more enjoyable. It's like you really connect with like nature and just the experience of everyday life. Whereas before it was like something I was just struggling to get through. Whereas now it's like a pleasure, I just float right through it, and shit that normally would really affect me or get me down just rolls right off me if I notice it at all. So yeah, it's been awesome. So I mean, I want to thank you for performing this ritual for me. It's something that I was starting to wonder if I was ever going to get to experience. So another thing is, because this ritual, kind of has to be performed for you, then it encourages practitioners to work together. It almost forces you to work together in a good way. Whereas before, we didn't really see a lot of that. Even other, occultists, they tend to bicker and fight amongst themselves. They, find a secret well of knowledge, and they want to keep it all for themselves or within their own little secret order, and I probably could have taken this ritual and built some kind of order around that, and kept it a secret. But nah, man, that bullshit's in the past, man. We're coming into a new age. There's a new breed of sorcerer on the horizon, and I think this really encourages people to work together and come together and unite. And that's really what I want to see. I mean, that's why I put this ritual in the anthology above any other ritual that I have, because not only is it the most powerful ritual I've ever experienced or been able to perform for somebody, but it gets people to work together. And I highly encourage that other practitioners agree to do this right for each other. And I would also recommend that once they come to that agreement, they do the ritual as many times as possible, or as many times as they can handle. And I think that everyone who does this is going to benefit from it, no doubt.
I agree, man. And what you pointed out and bringing people together and to have them working together. I mean, we are all so much more powerful when we come together than we are solitary and being on our own. I mean, and that doesn't go for magic, that goes for everything in life, really. And this truly does that. I mean, it really does. I mean, like, the friendship that me and you have forged through this ritual alone, really, I mean, it's been incredible. I mean, you're one of my dearest friends, and it's really been just a eye-opening, life-changing thing to experience this with you. It's really, it's just something that I can't even imagine how far we're going to be able to take this, as as we repeat this and keep moving forward and keep building upon it and building each other up. I mean, there's really no telling how far we're going to be able to take this thing.
Yeah, I really think that the possibilities are endless. I really do. And we're going to find out. We're going to continue to do this and push the limits and see what can really be achieved with this. Because, I mean, if you get this much benefit from having it done one time, how much benefit are you going to get from having it done 30 times? And I really think that this could be the key to prolonging life, prolonging youth, or restoring youth. And based on the results that I'm getting magically, it could be the key to developing superhuman-like magical abilities as well. And yeah, man, it's exciting. That's what I really want to find out. And I'd encourage others to get creative with this and experiment with it and push the limits as well. And I think that it can be taken to a level that we don't even realize yet. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and just, kind of like the proofs in the pudding type of thing. I mean, look at me and you both and how much our lives have changed just in the past 3 months that we've been doing this, and how much better our lives have gotten. Opportunities that have come, basically right to us, the things that we've always wanted to do. It's just, if you would have told me this, 6 months ago, I'd have been like, you're crazy as shit. Like, there's no way that this is going to happen, or that's going to happen, or that I'm going to be able to do this or be able to do that. And there's really not much anything else I can think of that I could really attribute that to, except for the results that I have obtained from this ritual, specifically. It really, like I said before, it's been a life-changing experience for me. I mean, really straight up, it has really, I mean, my relationships are better. I'm not as moody and cranky as I used to be. Emotionally, I am much, much more stable than I used to be. I mean, I used to have my moments for sure, and
Oh, yeah.
I really can say that I really haven't been like that, and even the relationship I have with my children, that has improved tremendously. And that was something that is of extreme importance to me, something that I was really struggling with, because of some things that happened years prior, relating to my emotional state and just kind of being all over the place and being a loose cannon and some things that that they had witnessed, me acting out and doing certain things that had kind of put a barrier between me and my children, and that's gone. I mean, we are back in the best place that we could ever be, and together, and that right there is just, I could never put a price on that ever. I mean, that's the best thing. That right there really is one of the best things that I have received from this, is just how that particular relationship has gotten better. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the changes that it made in me. And they were able to see that, and they responded to it favorably. And it's like you said, it's like your vibration just gets elevated to a degree that, other people begin to respond to you and look at you in a different way, and they are drawn to you. It's like a magnetism type of effect that it has. And it's not something that's not real. It's very authentic and very genuine. And that's what I love about that too, because I don't ever want to be one of those people that would be considered to be disingenuine or not authentic. I want to be and have the freedom to be who I am and what I am, and like it or not, take it or leave it. This is me. This is who I am, and that people are able to respond to me in a positive way. That's just everything I could ever ask for in life.
Wow, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy just hearing that. I mean, that's what I want to do for people, man. It's a ritual that I feel good about performing. I don't. I not only do I look forward to it, but I feel good after the fact. And to have you sit here and say all these things, just, I mean, yeah, that's the best feedback I could ever ask for. And I've experienced the same things. My relationship with my wife and child has gotten so much better over the last couple of months, and I really think that the majority of that is attributed to this ritual and to the changes in me. I feel like it healed things within me on a psychological and emotional level that really affected my relationships in my day-to-day life. I mean, my life has not been easy, and there are things that have scarred me psychologically and caused me to put up an emotional wall between me and my loved ones. And all that shit's gone now. And this is the only thing I can attribute that to. So yeah, it's awesome, dude.
And I hadn't really ever been able to thank you, I mean, thank you, man. I mean, like this, I'm not exaggerating one iota. I mean, this has literally changed my life, and I could never thank you enough. I mean,
oh, dude, you don't have to, man. You've done the right for me, and I've gotten the same benefits. So, yeah, I mean, the feeling is mutual, and this is only the beginning, dude. We're gonna see how far we can take this, and I think other people will also. I think it's gonna be a great thing.
No doubt about it. And so, if people are interested in hiring you for your services to do this, they'll be able to find you in the Become a Living God catalog at the Become a Living God website, which is www.becomealivinggod.com. You'll be listed in the Ritual for Hire section of the catalog, and then I'm sure you're also going to be doing some video courses and some podcast interviews, things like that. So they'll be able to find you, in those arenas too through Become a Living God.
Absolutely. And I'm actually thinking about putting together a video course simply for this deification rite, because there's a lot of things you can do when it comes to the science of evoking people. I mean, this is just one of them. And, it also has the potential to be used for baneful reasons, obviously. Anything that you can use to help someone can also be reversed and used to hurt someone. But one thing you really got to think about, especially when you evoke other practitioners, and this is something that I've noticed from experience, that when you summon that person's spirit out of their body, they do not come alone. They come with every spirit that surrounds them that they have a connection with. You come in guns blazing, an entire army comes with you. So now that's something to keep in mind. Someone has, spirits that watch over and protect them, then you will have to contend with that as well. So, I mean, that makes me feel good. It should make other people feel good and feel safe when this is taking place. I go to great measures with my preliminary rituals to make sure that this is a safe and pleasurable experience. I banish and summon protection to surround the entire ritual area. And I also have spirits that escort you from your body to and from the ritual. So that's something people should feel good about as well.
Well, I'm getting like goosebumps right now, like all over me as you're talking about this. And that is a sign to me that, that you are speaking the truth without a doubt, because I'm getting that clarification that's like, yep. Exactly. Just like he said. And I mean, and you're right. I mean, when I evoked you, there was definitely just a tremendous amount of spirits there. I mean, I really felt like I was saying before, I felt like there was like a whole tribe of spirits that were there with you. And it was a crazy experience, but it was something that I have so much gratitude, to you that I could experience those things, because I've never really been able to experience anything like this through any other ritual. I mean, there's nothing else for me that even comes close. I mean, it's really not at all. Nothing that I can think of, nothing that I've ever been introduced to, or nothing that I have ever taken place in before. I mean, this really right here. I mean, this is, for me, this ritual is at the top of my list, and it probably always will be.
That's awesome, man. Oh yeah, I can't elaborate that any more than you just did, dude. That's the best compliment I could ever receive, and it's an honor to know you and work with you, and to be doing this right for each other. So I hope other people will do the same. Other practitioners will get together and do the exact same thing. And I look forward to getting feedback from other practitioners that have performed this ritual as well. I mean, if anyone has any questions, you can hit me up on Facebook, and definitely, private message me and tell me about your experiences. And anybody who's not able to perform this right because of their location or capabilities, then by all means, I am happy to do it for you. And I know that there are some skeptics out there, some old school guys that say that this just is not possible. Well, I would like to respectfully say to them, that's how you feel, then by all means, hire me to perform this right for you, and I will make a believer out of you. I'm happy to do that. Definitely up for the challenge. So, hell yeah, man. That's about all I have to say about it, man. I really appreciate you coming on and having this conversation with me, and hopefully people will find it informative. And we're going to continue to do this and push the limits, and this is only the beginning, and we're going to see how far we can take it. I'm excited.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine, brother. I had a awesome time as always, and yeah, I mean, I think that this is only the beginning, and people will see a lot of both of us on Become a Living God website, and they're going to be doing a lot of exciting things in the next year or years to come, and I'm really excited and honored to be a part of it, and I know that you are as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I will talk to you soon, and we'll have to get together and talk about when we're going to do this ritual again. And yeah, man, I mean, it's been a blast, and I appreciate you coming on, and we'll talk again very soon.
Sounds good, brother. Looking forward to it. And thank you for having me. And yeah, it's a pleasure as always, and the honor is mine as well. So yeah, you have a good night. We'll talk again soon, man.
Sounds good, man. Sounds great. So I appreciate everybody that's watched, and if you have any questions for JS, like you said, hit him up. And it's this is what we love to do. I know that's what he loves to do. He's very passionate about it, and he is extremely good at it. So by all means, take full advantage of this while you can. But you'll be seeing a lot of him, and I look forward to seeing how far we can push this thing. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
All right. Let's do.